Hello, today we're going to take a look at the new Ruger 57 pistol. Now there are a lot of videos out there already doing shooting demonstrations and handling reviews and going over all of the functions and features of the gun, and I will leave those reviews to those people as they're far better and more qualified to do those than I am. However, one thing that I wasn't able to find online, anywhere really, was a review of how this gun particularly works. And so that's what I want to look at here today in a little bit more detail. How the gun actually functions internally. Now I've seen some people go ahead and do some reviews where they have noted that the internals are fairly similar to that of the FN57. I've never handled one of those, but just looking at pictures, it does appear to be fairly similar internally as well. But even that being said, I can't find very many videos discussing how the internals function on that gun either. So this seems to be something that is not really commonly available information. So let's take a look inside this gun and see if we can figure out what makes it work. Now, Ruger, on their website, state that it is a delayed blowback gun. So we will determine how exactly that delaying mechanism works here today. So the first thing we need to do is, of course, disassemble the gun. Do that by pulling the slide all the way to the rear. Going ahead and take out the magazine. We can see that the magazine is empty. The gun, too, is empty. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn this over, and you can use the edge of the magazine or really anything solid to pop that pin down just a little bit. It will rotate down out of the way, and then the slide will just come forward, come right off. Within the slide, we're going to have captive recoil spring and the barrel. Now, first thing we can note about how the system operates, unlike a Browning tilt barrel system, there is no locking mechanism between the slide and the barrel internally in the slide. They do not lock together. Go ahead and pull that out. And a quick review of the slide for any functional pieces of information we can gain here. It's an internally hammer-fired gun. So we can see really the only thing that's going on inside the slide is the firing pin housing right here. No safety mechanism on the slide, no other mechanical things, just the way it's been milled out. And we'll come back to that in a moment. Most of what's going on is down here in the frame itself. We can see that we have our internal hammer here, and we have the trigger linkage, which is pretty standard design here. Trigger linkage comes right to here, our sear, and then our hammer. And if we put the safety on, it merely blocks the linkage here and blocks the slide with this surface against this surface here. Fairly simple, fairly straightforward, nothing too unusual or out of the ordinary with that. The real heart of the system is going to be this lever right here. This piece right in here. And as we can see, when we turn this lever up, it actually turns two little ears of that lever up. It turns the whole lever along with the disassembly lever. You can see it moving there, up and down. So when it's fully assembled, that lever is going to be in the up position with those little ears extending above the plane of the frame there. How does this interact? Well, it doesn't really interact with the spring any. If we put the spring in, we'll see that it gets stopped back there at the slide before it gets to that to the lever section there. So the spring doesn't really impact on that much. If we take the barrel is going to sit in here and it's going to slide back. You can see the groove on this barrel, and it's going to slide onto this pin in the slide. So we'll put it in and we'll slide it back, and once it's in its rear position we can turn that lever back up. You see the little ear pop up there, and now the slide, or the barrel, is held into the frame by a protrusion on the bottom of that lever. That lever is going to be folding up and actually coming to rest on the bottom of this surface here of the slide of the barrel. And we can see that as the barrel is then pushed forward by the slide, it's going to pull that lever forward and up even more above the plane of the frame there, up into the slide where it's going to interact. If we take the slide, we can see that it has these two little grooves here and here that correspond with the ears on that lever. And so if we put the slide back together here, we'll be able to take a look and see how that actually works. If we look inside, we can see the lever there, and as the slide goes forward, it's going to engage in those cutouts in the slide. When the slide comes into battery, it's going to lift those up. And when the barrel is pressed in there, it's going to actually be pushing that even more forward, such as that. The barrel's in there, it's going to be pushing that lever and those ears up. And as long as those are up, the slide is not going to be able to travel backwards. It has to push those ears down, which in turn is going to require it to push the barrel backwards a short distance before it can come unlocked and cycle the action. Let's take a look at it all put together a little bit more here. Alright, you can actually see the little ear of the lever right down in here. And as we push forward, you see that it cams forward up into the slide. When we put the slide fully into battery, it's going to cam that little ear up and engage it with the slide and with the front of the barrel. So then what's actually going to happen when this gun fires? Of course, when the gun goes off, pressure is going to build up within the chamber as the powder burns. That force is going to be exerted in all directions equally, outwards from the casing, which is going to be contained by the walls of the chamber, forward, which is going to push the bullet down the barrel as it engages with the rifling, and rearward in the form of recoil, which is going to be used to cycle the action. Now, the first thing that's going to happen is the bullet is going to be traveling down the barrel here. And as it does that, pressure against the bullet is going to be, the bullet's going to be dragging into the rifling. The bullet is going to have friction against the barrel and be attempting to pull that barrel forward. At the same time, the recoil energy from the round is going to be attempting to push the slide backwards. Now, in a straight blowback gun, the only thing stopping the barrel or the slide from moving backwards is its mass and the spring tension, which has to be balanced such that it will allow enough time for all of the gas, for the bullet to leave the barrel and the gas to vent so that it can be safe to open and cycle and eject the round. In this case, we're further delaying the blowback with the lever that we already looked at. It's positioned right in here. As that lever sits, there is force being pulled forward on the barrel from the bullet going down, which is going to be pressing that lever forward. At the same time, the recoil energy from the round that's pushing the slide backwards is going to be pulling on the top ears of that lever in an opposite direction. This is going to unbalance or at least slow the rate at which that lever is able to turn until such a point that the bullet actually leaves the barrel, gases vent out the barrel, and the pressure pushing forward on the barrel reduces enough that the rearward recoil energy is able to overcome it. And once that mechanical and gas pressure disadvantage is overcome, then that lever can turn, the barrel can move back slightly with it, and the side can move to the rear and cycle the action. This is a very cool mechanism, very unusual, and as far as I'm aware, it's only really featured here in the Ruger 57 as well as the FN 57 also. So that is at least how I understand from looking at it and analyzing the mechanics, how I understand this system to work. I hope this has been informative and hopefully fairly accurate. So have a good day.